So this is the disclaimer, colleagues. Let's get going. And of course, again, as promised, that we'll have Abhay Srivastava again, right? So Abhay sir is again Monday, Wednesday. Okay, this is a small joke. I think this could be the end, or rather, beginning of the end. Okay, if beginning of the end, if this is true, the COVID vaccine developed by Russia. If this is true, this is very good news. But then I got this lovely joke forwarded to me that it is still the second most appreciated invention. Vodka remains the first. Amazing sense of humor colleagues have, honestly. Yes, we again go back hunger movement, right? One good news is I think we have all done our best, but the bad news is it is slowing down now. So I don't know. We have to. I need some ideas later. Possibly I'll talk to you all. You all could call me. How do I pick up the momentum? Okay, right. So we have done well. Season 3. Teachers are ready, or other faculty members are ready. I've lined up some more colleagues for next week. I'll continue anyway. But sponsors are slightly. I know business is getting tough also. Sponsors are slightly drying up. So some model relook I need to look at. Okay. Yeah, these are all the wonderful people who have supported this. Right, I can't thank them enough. Individuals, right, companies, each one of them. Rikshit is there, Gani is there. I don't want to keep repeating this. Each one of them, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Tough times, but you still have done a lot. Thanks to each one of you all. Anjay ji should have joined by now, right? Hiten, I just spoke to Hiten and said, "But आपका interest rate अभी भी ज़्यादा है." Just today afternoon I spoke to him. He said, "Sir, I'm looking into it. Let me just go back to work." Okay. Yes, as I promised, this remains our sponsor, right? Wonderful Sudarshan Chari, right? For his dad Gopal Chari, right? They will remain the sponsor because I told you the amount that they have said. The 70th birthday, they donated 70,000. Amazing, right? Gopal Chari sir is the first generation entrepreneur. Normally, South Indians, we don't have entrepreneurs. That's normally the case. Of course, colleagues like Gani are changing it, right? So normally we don't encourage. We like to work, and and have risk-free income. But salary also today, there's nothing known as risk-free income, according to me. Company secretary, lawyer, then now manufacturing, chemical distribution. Amazing, amazing. So obviously an intellect. He's an intellect, and then got that intellect into business, right? Wife is Sudarshan ji's mother is a graduate in English literature. Sudarshan is our student from SP Jain, right? Sudarshan's wife is a COVID warrior, Janani Chari, right? COVID warrior. Incidentally, this entire slides have been prepared by Sridharan Chari, who is also a postgraduate in management, and again an entrepreneur. And of course, the two little gems, right? The little ones, right? The two little ones here, right? God bless, right? I think when you have youngsters at home, it relieves you of half the stress. Okay, that's right. Class 4 and class 1, right? Tough times, colleagues. I know all of us know that tough times, but we need to keep going. This is their entire group of companies, right? It is the Sri Chakra group. And this is the logistics company, which I'm keeping on saying, any work in AP, Telangana, please do approach them. Please do approach them. I want to see my students doing business with each other. That will give me great satisfaction. So Gani in US is coming up with some proposal, which I request him to put it up. The idea is, you know each other now. So when you know each other, you become more compatible. Yes, they are into corrugated cartons. They are into egg paper trays. They are into, right, logistics. God bless you, Bete. Thank you very, very much, Sudarshan Chari. Thank you, Gopal sir. Thank you very, very much. This is for the people who are attending for the first step. Students, if you want to donate, 200 rupees. If you want to donate, right? Of course, sponsorship, I keep going. Since there's a discussion about price, I got this wonderful video, which I just thought I'll show it to you all and then I'll get going.
We'll have a chat about it in a moment. There's no such thing as a product that's too expensive. No such thing as a product that's too expensive. A customer tells you a product is too expensive, you're talking to the wrong customer. Yeah. You think anyone walks into Lamborghini and says, but a Toyota is less? Lamborghini will tell you, then go to Toyota. Why are you here? True fact, I'm the most premium price speaker in South Africa. I charge in South Africa more than any other speaker in the market. My office will also tell you price is not a negotiation I have with my clients. I never talk price, I talk value. Anytime you find yourself talking price, know that now you are not an entrepreneur anymore. Never talk price with customers, talk value. No, don't talk price, talk value. And the difference between the difference between the two is perception. So I'm gonna come back to this in a minute. I need an example. What do you do, ma'am?
I'm a makeup artist.
You're a makeup artist. This is fantastic. What's your name?
Cindy Seawick Daly.
Cindy Seawick Daly. I love your hair. You think that would work on me? It wouldn't work. Your hair color on me?
It would.
It would,
But in red.
What? Was Timber wearing red? So what I was saying. So Cindy, how much do you charge per hour?
I charge per face, so I'll say
I have never in my life charged per face. That's really cool. How much per face?
800 rands per face.
The remaining part of this session will come from respected sir. The reason I deliberately got this clip is, what is the remaining part of the story? Abhay sir will explain. So after last time's session, I reached out to Abhay sir and he's so good. He reached out to me saying, sir, some more feedback. I said, sir, it went off very well, but can you tweak it a bit? He said, yeah, I will definitely do it. Over to you, respected sir, because I cut it halfway. But the remaining part of the story can come only from you. Abhay sir, thank you very, very much for your time. Over to you, respected sir. Over to you, please.
Thank you, Dr. Anil. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. It's been a pleasure to be connecting with you again for the second time. Last time, the discussions were somewhere around price, which was being discussed, and a couple of you had also had a kind of a concern about that we are into the business of industrial product and B2B. And I was talking about a lot of consumer products and FMCG products and consumer durable examples. So possibly a couple of you were not able to relate to it. Let me on the onset tell you why I talk about FMCG product in specifically or consumer products, because many of us may not understand industrial marketing or B2B marketing, but we all can understand as a consumer because we see the products. The objective is that it's marketing is something which is a very pragmatic subject. There is no formula. There is no something which is going to be there, but there is a science. One more suggestion to many of you who were possibly, I presume that you are a student or you are budding marketing or you are budding industrialist, that never look something very narrowly from what you are doing currently. Because when this question comes to me that, look, I cannot relate to it, I cannot see that, I'm into the business of so-and-so business, so this Colgate example doesn't help me, or vice versa, something of this kind. Let me tell you, marketing is something which you can learn from so many places. The ideas can just strike you at a moment, and when the ideas can strike you, why can't we try it out? For example, an ad which you see, which has got nothing to do with you, it could be of something else, but you can just pick it up and you can get this idea implemented into your business, and you'll be very surprised that you could be successful. Because in marketing, we are dealing with humans. Human is same, world over it is same. What little video which Dr. Anil just shared a couple of minutes earlier, we have not been to that country, possibly we have not been there, but what was being talked about, what was being discussed, the concerns of the students and possibly was exactly the same. Okay, so marketing is a universal subject. Whatever I have seen world over, whenever I have traveled across, I have seen that the feelings, the emotions, the concerns of individuals are same, whether it is whatever color of the skin, race, religion, whatever you come from. So marketing is what we deal with, the core element of the humans. We need to understand that. To give you something, when I'm talking about in B2C, it is the same feelings, the same emotions. When I'm talking about in B2B, it's exactly the same. The parameters are slightly different. The customer is slightly different because the customer in a consumer product is not so intelligent. I'm talking about an average customer, not knowledgeable, again, giving an example about your mobile phone, giving an example about a toothpaste, giving an example about any electric bulb, he or she doesn't know how it is manufactured. He or she doesn't know what is the cost of manufacturing. He or she doesn't understand the technology so much. But when it comes to a B2B customer, possibly the person sitting across the table is coming from a very similar professional background as you. That person understands the costing, understands the manufacturing process. He or she knows how it has been going across, and yet he negotiates. So when we are going into a price element, and we all somewhere, I have seen that every point of time in whatever seminars or workshops or lectures, whenever I have been talking across, particularly to the working professionals, price becomes the most important factor people start discussing. When I'm talking to a pure student who has not seen the world as of now in terms of the corporate world, for him, price is not so much of a significance. So what does it make you understand? Somewhere we use price as a leveraging process or selling tool. Okay, we need to understand that somewhere, what is this 4 Ps? I'm slightly going back before I come to the answering the question or trying to resolve the issues or concern of a couple of you. Let us understand slightly. If you can see the slide in front of you, what does that slide can be seen like? It is a typical cartoon character I've used because I didn't want to associate with any individual or any person for that matter. It has got 4, that rod which is there, or you can call across as a stick, which is for the puppeteer. Typically, a puppeteer always controls by a stick. By balancing that stick or by moving that stick, he tries to move the hands and the legs and the people, from there. He keeps on doing that. So his objective is, he tries to manage from the stick perspective. He tries to look at the stick. He tries to control the stick, and he is trying to manage. Now, when we talk about, I use this as an analogy in all my lectures there, that what we are talking about, marketing mix is one term which many of you must have come across, you must have read, you must have studied. So slightly I'm touching upon some amount of theory out here. The 4 Ps which we are talking about is nothing else but 4 corners of that same stick. Okay. Although a couple of marketeers or so-called marketing gurus, although personally I don't believe anyone is a marketing guru. I believe that anyone who is successful is a marketing guru. I also trust that the most junior person in my team, if he comes out with something, an interesting idea which is successful, he or she is a marketing guru. Just because I've got gray hair or just because I've got experience, it doesn't mean I am become a marketing guru. And people pride in themselves and they love to call themselves marketing guru, but I refrain from this word, particularly when it comes to it starting for myself. I would not call myself marketing guru at any point of time. So coming back to the 4 Ps, if you can see there in the slide, now this is something one has to keep on balancing that. Now let us say if I'm selling across a Mercedes, so obviously I'm trying to elevate, or my part of that P, which is the stick, which is towards product, if I'm raising it up, what is happening? The other 3 P will come down unless until I do the balancing act. So it is very important. Marketing mix is nothing else, but it has got to have the kind of a balance which has to be there. Now let us say I'm selling across a phone. Today, there are so many phones which are available, whether it is a Chinese, whether it's an Indian variety, I do not know certain names, but Oppo or some brand. So there is no some kind of promotion of the brand, neither I am discounting a brand. But what I'm talking about, if I have to compare with a reputed brand like Apple, for example, if Apple, the product is going to be very high, they change all the other 3 Ps to balance it out. That's one of the reasons the Apple store has got a certain ambience. The price is at a premium. When you see across whether Apple is manufactured in China and the same Oppo could be manufactured in China, yet we are paying a premium when it comes to Apple. because they are balancing the other part. Apple may not be available if I talk about in a place which could be a small town. If I talk about a town which comes to my mind in terms of Kanurur, or I can talk about maybe a Apple full-fledged store may not be there, but Apple may be available through an indirect means. But when it comes to any A-grade city, or when it talks about B-grade city, because in India, there are 675 class 1 towns, incidentally, for most of you who are not aware about it. So if you see that such a kind of a market which exists, the Apple is there. When we see Mercedes, again, Mercedes is sold in terms of if someone wants to buy in Jalgaon or Dhulye, or someone who wants to buy across who is based out of in Bharuch, for example, that person will travel either to Ahmedabad or Surat, or will travel to Nasik or Bombay, because Mercedes, the place of product which is being sold has got a larger dimension, or the larger circumference or radius which they cater to. Obviously, it's a premium product, lesser number of sales which they have in volume, but the value wise they are selling very high. Okay, when you talk about a salt, which is a catering to almost 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers, that's it. Someone has asked me a question, let me also start. And this, if you take example, toothpaste, does that still hold in, considering that everyone uses this product? Yes, sir. This exactly applies to even detergents or toothpaste. When we talk about in toothpaste and detergents, when we are mentioning that, the same classic example applies. And that is the reason when we talk about place, the channel of distribution, which we call as level of channel, 0 level, 1 level, 2 level, and all. Marketing is a long, deep theory. I will not be able to cover everything. I'm going to focus on pricing today, and particularly with B2B. So I'm skipping a lot of areas, but I'm just touching upon something to give you a foundation for our further discussions. So coming back, so similarly, promotion also has to be very, very reputed. You cannot see an Apple promotion which is going to be onto the walls of the next to the railway line. People who are based in Bombay or who have visited Bombay, you must have seen that Bombay railway line was typically known for one fact. Morning, people have got their backside towards the walls. So if you've got an Apple ad promoted to that, you can imagine what's going to happen to it. So Apple is very particular. They will not advertise in such kind of locations. Now, if you find some masala ad or some undergarments ads onto the railway line, obviously you can understand, because the product is such, the price is such, the place is such, promotion is such. Within the undergarment, Victoria's Secret and Jockey will definitely not be advertising there, because they are premium priced. So in each category, the pricing can be premium, promotion has to be premium, place has to be premium, because Jockey again gets sold from a specific outlets, and obviously product is premium. So I believe and I presume that all of you who are able to understand this basic concept, because when we proceed further, which we are going to use this theory, this background to our discussions. I have got one slide in front of you just to explain the same concept. I've used a product where I've tried to give a kind of an example onto a slide. So excuse me for some kind of a limitation, because I cannot use a visual medium out here, in terms of the momentum out here. My slides have not done that kind of animation here. But what am I trying to do? If I have got a premium product, with a premium product, I am going to have a premium, the price has to be accordingly taken up, the place has to be taken up, promotion has to be taken up. When a couple of you asked me this question last time, when we were discussing that, how do I tackle price? If you are discussing as far as the product which you are marketing or you're selling, whether it's in B2B, you definitely have to change the other elements, and price has been there. In second case, I have shown you one example where price has been brought down. What I mentioned earlier with the other analogy, which I showed it to you, you can see the other elements, the 3 Ps also have to be brought down to the same level. Unless until that balancing act has been mentioned, now in future, whenever you talk about marketing mix, please keep it in mind the puppeteer's stick. The balancing of that puppeteer's stick is something most important, which is going to help you to understand what am I trying to do. So whatever product you are going to sell, market, manufacture, keep this in your mind. Okay. So marketing mix is something which is very, very essential for whatever product which we are talking about, because here there's a concept of positioning. I will be skirting around positioning. I'll not be talking about positioning today because of the focus and the limitation of the time. But this is very essential for us to understand, because price in a way help us to position the product in the minds of the customer. Price is something which people realizes. Typically, all of us in your formative years, you have learned a very simple line, which is a number line or whatever you call that when you draw in mathematics or arithmetic. Anything on the right side of the zero is positive, it is growing. Anything on the left side of zero is minus. So what we are talking about, anything which is going to be growing, anything which is moving, more expensive the product, the positioning accordingly has to be there. People value that. So price becomes from the perspective of the customer, price becomes the first factor out of the marketing mix to imagine the product, what quality you are offering. So when you call upon a customer, when you go across in terms of a B2B marketing also, this customer is the same, because he is the same customer who buys a paste or he buys a detergent and he buys a washing machine. So he also has got the same orientation. And if you are looking yourself comparative to other competitors, the same thing, the formula applies to him. If you are costing, let's say 100 rupees and the other competitor is costing 95 rupees, the first and foremost perception which that buyer has got it in his mind is basically you have got a better quality. That's from where they start with. Now, something we also need to understand here, that how does the buying process happens? Buying process, anything or everything, whichever a buying happens, there are buying roles, which we call as. There's something called, there is an initiator, then there is an influencer, then there is a decision maker, then there is a buyer, and finally there is a user. Now let us look across in terms of your industry, which is going to be any of your manufacturing industry. Whenever you are supplying, you are a B2B supplier, you are definitely supplying to some industrial user, you're supplying to someone. But are you not also a buyer for the products? If you are going to be a buyer, someone has been manufacturing corrugated boxes, who is there into our team out here, who is attending the seminar. Now let's imagine that person is going to come across and sell the product to you. In your organization, who's the initiator? It could be the warehouse manager, it could be the packaging manager, it could be the logistic manager, someone who is initiating the process that you require a corrugated boxes. Who is the influencer? Influencer can be you yourself. If you are a logistic manager, you must have bought from a particular brand, you have experienced that product, you have enjoyed that product, you have found that product to be good quality, so you get influenced. Or your colleague from another company has told you that, look, if you want to buy a corrugated boxes, approach ABC company. They are manufacturing a corrugated boxes, which is 7-ply, 5-ply, 9-ply. So that is a very good corrugated boxes. They use it from a virgin raw material, and it can withstand the pressure. It can have a drop test and so on. So they will give you the parameters. Decision maker in your organization, because typically in FMP, the decision makers are the owners in most of the cases. So-called purchase manager is there, but purchase people are there. That could be a small team, but purchase manager could be a decision maker. The owner could be a decision maker. In certain cases, which is a very decentralized organization, the warehouse manager could be a decision maker. So there is a different person who is a decision maker. So till now, we have seen 3 different individuals involved, or possibly one and the same individual is involved. There is someone who is called as a buyer. Buyer is the person who actually doles out the money, is the person who goes across in terms of, making the actual transaction. So that's the buyer. Now, buyer could be one person. Again, the role can be repeated by the same purchase manager. The role could be by someone else into the organization. And finally, the user could be altogether a person who could be a logistic or a warehouse guy. Typically, in most of the organizations, the negotiations happen at a HO level, at a regional office level, at a corporate level, in the offices, which is far away from the warehousing. So if you see, the user is started using the product, and if you are a purchase manager, you're not even aware about it. What is happening? The user gives you a feedback, which brand is good, which process is good, what product has been good, and that's it. That's a feedback, and you can correct yourself on the next occasion. So can you see that the role, which is very, very important? Now, why we need to understand this role when we are talking about in terms of the B2B business? Because if we understand this role, it is very good for us because we know that where we are going to focus upon. I've got one example. I have done this for a client of mine. Okay, and this is for a company which has been into adhesive, it is into plywood and so on. So here, if you can see across, I've given some names. Initiator, who's the initiator? This could be a commercial person is a customer. There could be a project guy who's suppose a bank is there. So the project head there could be the initiator. He says, okay, we want to get a furniture made. We want to design something. So the initiator could be one. There, the influencers, a couple of influencers are there. The role, if you can see across. What you can notice, one fact out here, that the people who are the initiators are not featuring actually into the influencer category. So initiator need not be the influencer and vice versa. Again, if you move further, decision makers are also, those initiators are not there. Now, when you are buying a detergent, when you are buying a toothpaste, the housewife is an initiator. Housewife is an influencer because she recalls from the previous experience what was good about it. Housewife is the decision maker. Housewife is a buyer when she goes across to the market. And housewife is the user. So we have got one example where incidentally, one person is playing multiple roles. And here we can see across an example where there are multiple players, multiple individuals are playing multiple roles. Whether you are buying across a repeat product category such as a toothpaste or a detergent or electric bulb, or you're buying across washing machine, or you're buying across a transformer, or you're buying across capital equipment, these 5 roles are particularly going to remain everywhere. What happens when it comes to FMCG product, the roles are there, but it is all so quickly done that you don't realize because it is happening in microseconds, milliseconds, and seconds. As I gave you the example of a housewife, she's playing the multiple roles. So all the roles are being played by one single individual. So you feel, no, that is she's just a user or she's just a buyer. No, that's not the reality. The reality remains that the 5 roles are definitely there and it is going to happen. So I think so you can see here that in our business also the same thing happens. Now here, if you can see, I have put across those dots. What am I showing that dots about? When I've got a green color and a yellow color dot, I'm talking about this strategically. If I'm a company which is into the business of adhesive or something which I'm going to sell to this fraternity or to this segment, whether it is a laminate or plywood or cladding or whatever which has been there. So at various given point of time, depending upon the strategy which I have got it, my target audience and my influencing factor, which is my media or my communication, will be targeted at different individuals. Suppose if I realize that the consultants are the most important, or consultants or the interior decorators or architects or OEM is the most important currently I have to focus upon. So I will have my focus onto that segment. And I know for sure if I can focus and I can make them really convinced about my brand. Convince is a word which I desist from using, but for the time being, I'm using it here. Why I desist, I will possibly, given an opportunity, I'll talk about it later. But here, when I'm talking about influencer, I'll be focusing entire my strategy onto around them. Why? Because the moment if this is being achieved, sales will automatically happen. See, one thing which we have to understand, I always take interview and I ask a person, what is your strength? People come across and they say that I can convince customers. Sorry to say that you cannot convince anyone. See, if a mindset of a person has been there, and I have found the most difficult people to be convinced are R&D people and chartered accountants. Dr. Anil, please keep it in mind. Because they have got a very logical reasoning. They've got something which has been there, and they have got a process. If they've decided not to buy something, you cannot convince anyone. What you're trying to do in any process of sales, you're trying to focus on something else. And going back to my previous lecture, if you are able to understand a need, and if you show that carrot, and if you show that this product can solve your need, the person is going to be automatically drawn towards your brand or your product. The same thing which comes across in terms of your category also. This is exactly what we are looking at. So convincing is concerned. So now if I've got this influencer segment in this industrial product which I'm talking about, the moment if I can do that, these people who are going to work themselves and they are going to so-called convince my initiators also, because ultimately the payer, the person who is investing or who is making the payment, who is very important to me, is the user or the initiator. So that initiator can be paid across. So I've got someone who's helping me to convince out. Now let us say I'm selling across an industrial oil, I'm selling across an automobile oil, I'm selling across anything. The same thing will apply here. Now, if I have to do across, whom am I have to approach? Someone was into the business of elevator last time onto the group. I do not know that gentleman is out here today or not. If the gentleman is there, please, you can come onto the chat box. But here too, as far as your elevators are concerned, the same thing applies. Elevators, when the person is going to be, I'm talking about a scenario, not the builder who is ultimately deciding about which elevator to buy. I'm talking about at the manufacturing end. For the elevator, someone who is going to be the influencer. Now, for example, very often, I have seen the mechanics or the people who repair things are the most important people who can be the influencer. I've been working across on some project with one of the biggest automotive giants in this country, and they are not only into automobiles. That's one of the conglomerate, I will call them. They are into various sectors. They are into retailing. They are based into areas like generators, and they are into so many segments. They are into defense and so on. So there, when I'm talking about, I have noticed one fact which came across to me when I was talking across with their manufacturing team, that very often the mechanics are the people who tell you when you're designing the vehicle that where a particular part has to be placed. To give you one example, let us say there is one regular part which is changed very often is the oil seal, oil filter, which we call that, or air filter. Now, just because you're trying to make a compact engine, if the oil filter or the air filter has been so placed that that requires opening of the engine or opening of a certain parts, and which has got a frequent changes which is required, then that mechanic will tell you, do not buy this vehicle because it has got a lot of service expenses in that. When in the automobile, the designing of the vehicle, the service guy, so he's the influencer. Very often the roadside mechanics tell you that this is a good vehicle because they look from the serviceability of the vehicle and they tell you how easy to change the parts. I'm one of the fan of those two-wheelers, which is in terms of Royal Enfield Bullet. And I have realized in my previous Bullet, which I was having it and I still have it, incidentally to change the rear wheel, it was a very complex affair. What they have done, they have changed that rear wheel part now. If you want to remove it and you want to replace it, it has got just a simple bolt which has to be removed and it just happens very quickly. So this is again a very important designing aspect which is used when a product has been designed. So coming back, the influencers into a certain extent in most of the engineering companies or into manufacturing companies have got a lot of role to play. Here is one example. I'm talking about, let us, presumably you all coming from the manufacturing side. So this could be one example I can talk about in most of the engineering companies. This is how it works. The shop floor level have got a very important role to play. Now, if I'm going to be a marketeer, if I'm going to be a seller, I will try to do a multi-fold strategy. Now, that is one of the examples today. There is something called in sales, we call as a key account management, a CAM, which we call across, or a project sales. Because in the industrial marketing, the CAM, the way it has called, because there are 5 stages of CAM. In CAM, when we talk about, CAM has got various experts from their seller team and various experts from the buyer team. So when you talk about large organizations being serviced by large organizations, So R&D person talks to R&D person, shop floor person talks to shop floor, and that's it. Somewhere the arrangement is there in CAM. I'm just giving you broadly. I'm not getting into CAM as of now. What happens there? Because in case if there is something I want to sell it to a company which is into manufacturing generators, and the shop floor fellow who knows what kind of a compressor is required, or what happens to a compressor, and what happens to a filter, and what happens to the design of that compressor, I start selling, and I'm into the business of selling compressor. I will have to approach the shop floor level, convince him, talk to the influencer, talk to the engineering and every department, and there is a much higher chance I'll be able to sell it much better. Why? Last time there was a query which was coming across. One of the factor which is happening is because price is a perception, cost is a reality. The moment when you are getting worried by the price element, and when you are talking about one of the P's, which is the determining factor for you, it becomes so important for you that price is something which you feel I have lost it, or price is something because of which I've got a business. The reality is entirely different. Price is one factor which helps you, but price is not something which is very important. Price is important, but not to the extent that price can change this entire working. Okay. So price is a perception, because price is what we believe in. Here again, we need to understand, in any product, when we are selling across, there are three elements. Something of core, something formal, something augmented. Can anyone help me out in what is the core, what is the formal, what is augmented? You can give examples with your own products. Colonizing. Okay. So colonizing, core is something about the place of stay. Because in colonizing, when we talk about, it is not something where, because when you are talking about a colonizing, the first and foremost thing which you have to sell the concept about, where are you going to be located? It is the location which becomes the core. Now, let's say if you are going to have a core, I'm giving a very weird example, that suppose you are talking about in Worli, someone is going to build a bungalows or out there a row houses. Worli is not no more the place of peace. Worli is not something which is very interesting for a bungalow owner, and particularly with so many buildings around you, you're going to look down into your house. Okay, but if you're going to talk about Mathiran or Mahabaleshwar or colonizing there, possibly that's the location. So what we have to understand, core is something which is very important. Answering Abhishek's question, is yarn a core? No, possibly no. I'm not saying it is not. I'm just giving on a first reaction. The yarn could be one of the factor, but there could be replacement. So core is what is being the reason it is being supplied to, because I believe you're supplying to people who manufacture clothes or some kind of a garment. Now, let's imagine there could be a garment of pearl. I'm giving a weird thought process. Okay, so the core could be something different. The core could be somewhere else which we have to look at it. Because if you are not understood our core business, because we have not been able to focus onto the core business, there is always a probability that we will make a mistake when we are approaching our customers. Because we are not selling across plot. We are not selling real estate formal, which is there. We are not selling the plot building. We are selling the colonizing. So the place is what we are selling at as far as core is concerned. So somewhere what I can just summarily mention just now, we have to redefine our core business. Core business is for what the product is going to help you. What is it about? As you can see from the slide in front of you, the formal, most of you are to a certain extent are correct, is the delivery, the after sales, the during sales, the add-ons, the finance, the advice, and so on. And the augmented is something which can be there, which may not be there. Okay. What it talks about, it is more towards the intangibles. If you can see across the summary, which I have given you on the top on the right-hand side, intangibles are something which is coming across is augmented, and the services are something which is there. Now, incidentally, both of these elements cannot be seen by the customer. It's more felt, it's experienced by the customers. But when we are manufacturing a product, whenever we are creating a product, we are charging and we are building up the costing of the product for these elements also. So what we have to talk about, we have to talk about the basic product, the vanilla product, and that's how we have to make a presentation to the customers. So there we will be able to go across and negotiate with the customer. Either we can start with something, the base product is costing 100 rupees. you want with so-and-so service, you want inventory available 24 hours or just in time. So it will be 110 rupees. If it is you want something about the branded product or brand name or coming from the quality of life of so many hours or so many years or something, that is going to cost you 130 rupees. The moment if you make this kind of a presentation to the customer has got a pick and choose. And the moment there's a comparative chart which is being seen by the customer is definitely going to select somewhere in between or possibly on the top. Very often that's a good strategy to start with by giving the offer saying that, oh, you want a discount, but the discount will come across with so-and-so, or possibly I'm going to give you all the 3 products which is available. And when we are selling on the price, when the comparison is happening, we can also make it available to the customer. Sir, if you are looking at my product is costing so-and-so, it is costing 100 rupees. And you go across and compare the product being sold by Dr. Anil, what is the cost and what is there featuring into that product. Is he giving you a warranty so much? Is he giving you a design element? Is he giving you an R&D facility? Is he going to work with your team? Is he going to give you a customization? Is he going to give you a 10 years warranty? You know, then you can do a bare comparison to the customer and you can talk to the customer specifically about it. Now, the moment when we get into such kind of a details, provided you know your customer's requirement, going back to my first example or the first lecture, it is a need identification, the need gap requirement. Once you know the need, and if you are able to offer the customer a product, then the price element is coming down and down in terms of the importance. I'm still not saying price is not something important, but what all of you are coming with that kind of assumption and what all of you are talking about, that price is a determining factor. Let me come back to that fact. Price is not the factor. Price is a factor. I'm not, because at the end of it, there are 4 P's. So obviously one of the P's which we have demonstrated is a price. So we cannot negate that fact. Price remains and price will continue to remain as a factor there. But the thought process has to change. The price cannot be there. That is what we have to talk about. Are we all aware about what does VED tells you in terms of the inventory?
Vital, essential, desirable.
Thank you, Dr. Anil. Yes, you are right. We have to understand where does your product feature. It is very, very essential. Now, if my product is into what category, that becomes a determining factor. I'll explain you further as we proceed. So if you understand, if this is something called VED, because in every organization, particularly when I've been dealing with customers who are into the category about engineering companies, because engineering company and within that segment, automobile companies are one of the best companies when it comes to processes. I have worked across with various industries, and one company which is believing into safety norms a lot are the chemical giants or chemical companies, where they never compromise as far as the safety is concerned, because the cost of a safety is something very, very phenomenal, which they cannot afford to bear. And within the engineering segment, I've worked across with companies which is in terms of automobile, which they have perfected the process, and where they talk about first time right. And thanks to the international competition, they work onto those concepts, and they've got a very strict norms there. Something which we talk about ABC when it comes to value, because all inventory is valued into something. And from here, this is a kind of a matrix which evolves. Now, if you can see from that matrix, you can see a red dot and you can see across this green. When you are selling a product which has got a desirable aspect, and if you are into C segment, if you're selling across, let's say you're selling washers which is used into a nut and bolt, those washers or a nut and bolt or something about the fasteners of that kind, which is not very critical. It is being bought into kilos or weights or numbers or something in thousands. If you're into C category, and you can be replaced very easily, one vendor to another vendor, it is going to be there. Okay, the product is desirable, but it's a C category, the value is not something, and they keep it and they store into bins, not accounted for. But if you're selling across something, a washer of a particular variety or something of a brass, what you're trying to do, you are moving yourself into a category, possibly you're still into C category, but you are becoming vital or you're becoming essential. or you're moving towards the left-hand side, you're becoming into value-wise, you become B or A category, and you're still desirable. Now, what is happening? The moment when you're moving from red to the left side towards the yellow, your value has increased into the minds of the customers. I'll give you one example what has happened. This was very interestingly. I have got a client, or rather I had a client earlier, which was manufacturing various kind of adhesives, including consumer adhesives, including industrial adhesives. Now, if you see across, adhesive in terms of has got a most insignificant value when it comes to any project, whether it is in your house also. The amount of adhesive used in the total cost of the project is coming across to into point certain percentage. That's it. That's a value. It is almost equivalent to the button, which is very important into our shirts, but the value of that button is the same, or to that thread which is used for stitching your clothes. Although the importance of the button can be felt by you or the stitches, suppose you are traveling and you some seam opens up, then you have a problem. So it becomes so vital for you at that moment. Okay, and it becomes very embarrassing and you try to keep on focusing there. That's very interesting. But here, what happens in your cloth material? Someone has talked about yarn. Abhishek, when you are talking across, and you are definitely selling it across to yarn manufacturers or cloth manufacturers, or what is happening there? The thread which is used across has got a C category. It's desirable. It's not something very, very vital. As I gave you example, if you're selling a fasteners, which is how into red, you can move it to the yellow zone by making a fastener of a particular variety. I am talking about an example, which is when I am talking about the industrial adhesive. Now, this client of mine was supplying to many of the MNC automobile manufacturers. Just for your information, if some of you do not know, adhesive has got a very important role in terms of being used into our present day vehicles and cars, because practically most of the components inside a car are fixed by adhesive, whether it's a roofing, whether it's the side panels and so on. So adhesive has got quite a component which has been there. But if we look across into the cost of a vehicle, the cost of adhesive which is being consumed is marginal. Now, what has happened there? They were not able to get across a breakthrough. They were not getting across something because there were many MNCs into the segment, and Indian companies as such get relegated to a down scale compared to MNC when it comes to the same segment. So the presentation, which was not done on the basis of the utility of the product, the presentation was done on the basis of the saving, because in an adhesive, there's something called takt time, or something across in terms of the time which requires for fixing, or something which we talk across, which is there, it takes to setting time in our simple language. So what was the presentation, what we designed when we marketed to those MNC car manufacturers? We showed them, because if you have used adhesive on particular roofing, for example, and after it has been there, someone has to hold it, the car is being there, it is not moving on to the next stage of manufacturing, because the setting time, let's say if it takes 10 minutes, so that has been static onto one of the unit or one of the location. But if you are able to save 2 minutes, so let's say 3 minutes in terms of the setting time, it becomes faster. So by changing a slight composition as far as the chemical of manufacturing of the adhesive, by changing the takt time and the setting time, we were able to save 3 minutes. The 3 minutes multiplied with the number of vehicles being manufactured and the time taken, which we converted into the saving which is going to result for that car manufacturer, was presented and not the product. The moment when this kind of a presentation was involved to the shop floor level, it was involved to the people who were actually working on it. They were the influencer for us, and they presented our case to their purchase team, and they presented to their works manager, they presented to the senior management. Because every department into every manufacturing companies, they keep on working across in terms of building efficiency and efficacy. So we were no more selling across a product, but we were discussing in terms of the cost saving, and we were able to get across a certain price escalation. At the same time, we were able to move over in terms of the category for ourselves. We got an importance of in the business where we were relegated to that D and C segment. If you see the red segment which we were into, we moved into almost a A segment and D, because the value wise we are still not having very high value. We are not charging premium. We definitely charge a slight premium, but the importance which was required was changed. And one thing, if you can get the importance into the minds of the decision maker, that also helps you to get your price discussion lower, because then the discussion started happening in terms of cost saving. What else can we do about setting time, takt time, applications? And the customers started involving my client into various business discussions, and we started getting across a lot of opportunities. Where else can the adhesives be applied, and which other substrates we can use it across? Let's say, because in a car there could be a substrate which is going to be a cloth versus a steel. So can it be used there? A cloth versus a substrate could be a plywood or cloth or something. There could be many such kind of substrates are there. So how and where can we utilize that? I hope I have been able to give you one example which is coming across how the price segment has been there, but we have been able to move out of it. Another very interesting example which comes to my mind, which has been there in terms of another client of mine who is into the business of printing industry. And in printing industry, what is happening? Printing is, in terms of the importance, it is down below, because no one pays much of the attention. And he has got a major share. He has been supplying to one of the companies which is a very finicky and a very brand conscious, quality conscious cookware manufacturing company. He has been selling across to that company, and he's been the long-term vendor for them. But as usual, as and when there is a change of the management or there is a change of heads into purchase and all, they always come with a cost-saving agenda. They always comes across with a mindset, okay, we have to show the management, now we have been replaced, we have come in. So what benefit which you can talk about? So there is always a tendency, they do not attack the prime products, but they attack the subsidiary products or the products where they can feel that they will be able to get some cost saving, showcase themselves to the company or the owners or the management, and get their point that, look, after they have been inducted into the position, how beneficial it has been to the company. I'm sorry to say this is a reality, but we cannot deny this fact. And anyone who is into the business of B2B sales will appreciate the fact, and that's a reality which I'm talking about. So coming back here, he was involved in terms of manufacturing the cookware books. He was manufacturing certain user manuals. He was manufacturing service booklets. So if you talk about in terms of the value which he was giving across and the kind of products he was manufacturing, so products which was where he was getting a good amount of money for the cookery books and so on. There was also a service booklet where he was getting piddly in terms of a couple of, I cannot say annas, paise, but it was some few rupees only. So it was not something which was beneficial, but he was doing it basically to manufacture because he was getting the main business. So the new purchase head who came across, the first and foremost thing he wanted to save cost. So he went across to the cookery and he says, okay, let me save 2 rupees or 3 rupees from that costing. And once that person who was my client or who said that I will stop in terms of the service and you can give across, I will not be able to manufacture a service booklet because somewhere your service booklet was being subsidizing to me, or I was subsidizing or amortizing the cost between the 3 segments which I was working across. And he also made good a point when he presented. He said, it's not the cost, but the service which I'm giving it to you, because you expect me to supply the raw material, also called the printed item or the manufacturing promotion material, to various warehouses on short notices, which I can do it, which is not possible with any other company. Now, this is again an example which was done. Another example I will share with you. When I was working across as a product manager, I was involved into value engineering and re-engineering of products. And at that point of time, there was a cord retractor. A cord retractor is a product. Let me explain it to you how it is. The moment when you press a button, the cord gets pulled inside. So there is something called a spring element which has been there. And on the press of the button, there is a braking kind of a thing which gets lifted and the cord gets in. Now the cord retractor has got a spring element. It has got a tension which has been created across. because of the tension, it goes inside. So if you see across in modern day extensions which you use as far as wire is concerned, so very often we have got a manual retractor. We try to get in the cord inside, but a lot of durable has got a cord retractor which has been built in, particularly vacuum cleaners, whether it's industrial or it is domestic. Without that cord retractor, what happens? Because the length of the cord is very long, it leads to a tangling of the cord and it becomes a safety hazard, or you have to store it, becomes a problem. At that point of time, we discovered there was something called polyurethane. I'm talking about some time back. So polyurethane, which we decided to use it instead of the normal natural rubber as a braking mechanism. Now the value of that polyurethane material, which we created as a washer, was negligible. But there was a Karol Bagh vendor which was working with us. What he did with us, he was ready to fly it into Bombay at that point of time. Karol Bagh in Delhi, I'm talking about. He was ready to fly into Bombay, purchase that polyurethane material, take it with him to Delhi, work on that project, come back, because we were manufacturing somewhere in Uttarakhand, so-called Uttarakhand now. It was near Ranikhet and Nainital. There's a place called Bhimtal. So we had a plant there. He was ready to come there, work in R&D, work with manufacturing and give us the service. What is the difference? What we found, he was a person who was investing into the time and money in terms of making the raw material purchase. Even before we had sanctioned and we had allowed him or we had given him the purchase order. Now there again, once if he has been committed to us, when he has demonstrated such kind of a relationship with us, even before a business has been given to him, he has developed a trust. And when it comes to the final negotiation or final signing of the purchase order, we were more defensive in talking about cost to him. Price was not the factor, but it was the service, because he had already proven himself even before the product was launched, before the product was applied. So what has he done? He was participating into a process. He became the intrinsic part of the organization to work across. So the product which was of a C category, D, I will not say D in terms of element, it could be a C, but which was vital, but it became something where he was able to straight away get into the green zone. So this is something which we have to see across. There are so many examples. I've got a couple of more examples. If time permits, I will try to share with you, where in B2B business, whether you are into the purchase side, whether you are into sales side, by changing things, you can do that. Very interestingly, one example I should not miss out in terms of automobile. Automobile has got one thing which all of you must have known, or you must be aware, even if you're not an engineer, that there's something called sheet metal which is used, because all your cars are made of sheet metal. There is a kind of a sheet of a particular dimensions and specification is there, and it is punched according to that, and the car is assembled around it. So what happens when it comes to sheet metal? The purchase people are ready to change the sheet metal suppliers, but they are not ready to change the paint supplier. The paint application into every car is hardly running into a couple of liters. The cost of the paint which is used is hardly anything, minuscule. And the way with the electronic painting which is being done across, they call that process about static painting and something they do it in the paint booth. So what they are doing across, the paint component wise, it is got a minuscule, but they have got so much importance into their element of a car that the paint has become a very, very important aspect. And the automobile manufacturers do not mind giving the price what the paint manufacturers demand, because that is very vital for them to sell the product. So you see, there are not ones, but there are multiple examples which you can come across. Why that has happened? Because going back to the example about the core here, they have made it available into such a thing when the after sales service or before sales service or during sales service is the aspect which the companies have focused across, and they have been able to upgrade themselves. They are not selling anymore the core product, but they are selling the other elements and they're charging for it. Now, this is something which I have come up. This is a negotiation cone which I have created. when we talk about, I have reversed that VED concept here when I'm talking about desirable, essential, and vital. It's a negotiation cone which I am showing it across. Now, if you see across, the bandwidth I've given you with that red lines, if you can see there, the amount of negotiation which has been done across is very, very limited. If you are selling a vital category product, the buyer or the customer also understands that he doesn't have much of a margin to negotiate with you, because the dependency which you have created into your product with him, as I gave you the example about the polyurethane brakes, which was the washers which I was manufacturing, which I was using it to create, to apply into my cord retractor, was exactly into the vital category, which came into the vital category for me. The negotiation chance was not there because that supplier was so involved with me for the project from day one. He was the person who was trying various kind of ratings of polyurethane. He was also trying various kind of combinations of rubbers to understand what is going to work and what is going to fail. So he became a participative in our R&D labs. Now, any supplier who is into this category becomes very, very important for us. Again, giving an example about the automobile industry. Automobile industries always work. There is one of the department which is there where they keep on working towards cost, modification. They keep on working in terms of justification of the cost. They continuously work towards cost reduction, because as you know, this is an industry which is highly competitive, where the spreads are becoming very, very less day by day. The cost is wise and the customers are very few to come by. So they work towards backward in terms of working how best they can work in terms of getting the prices or the costing from the suppliers. And the best part is there, the people who are negotiating are the people who are purchase people who themselves are engineers, who themselves are experts into various fields of manufacturing. So they understand what is going across and how the product has been manufactured. And they try to use that knowledge of theirs to advise their suppliers. And that is why they've got tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 suppliers, which has been there, because the kind of involvement which they do it. So in this cone, what I have shown you, if you can see here, if you are selling something which is a commodity means where the brand is not there, you are not seen, identification is not there. Obviously, you get into the desirable category. And if you are getting in terms of the branding, more and more your product has got a certain brand name, certain importance into the eyes of your buyer, that customer is going to give you a value. More value you are getting, the closer is the product to the brand name. We were talking about elevators last time in some examples. As far as the elevators are concerned, if the elevators, suppose you're supplying a product which is the switches, what do you call that, the buttons. Now the buttons is something which is very vital, okay, but the brand is not something which is very important. But if you are a person who is coming across with some kind of R&D, because the buttons are being exposed the maximum to in an elevator, and you come across with some new technology, some new way, and thanks to COVID, nowadays everyone is afraid of touching the elevator buttons also. So you come out with a buttons which is going to be there, a virus-free button. Just again, a wild thought which market is always come up with. So the moment if you come with a virus-free button, or if you say COVID-free button or something of this kind, the chance of you getting the price which you demand is going to be much higher. One more thing, I'm using the same example. What happens, although the technical word which we often use to any vendor is supplier, but the moment if you're a commodity supplier, if you're selling across off-the-mill run products, then you are treated as a supplier. It's something like you are one of the vendors, you are as many as vendors are there. But the moment when you're going up the hierarchy, it's a reverse cone which I have shown you, the negotiation cone I'm calling as. The negotiation chances are going to become lesser and lesser, and you become almost a partner with your buyer or the customers. If you can go up the hierarchy, if you can go across here, of course, the arrow I've shown here reverse out here, because the cone is much more applicable. If I have shown you the reverse pyramid, it is not so easily digestible, but the cone wise, if it is seen, you can imagine much easily. So if you can get into that category, now here again, I'm taking you back to the same quadrant, or the value versus utility. I gave you the examples when the person who was into a C versus D category, but the person has moved either up in terms of the value chain. So C has been brought to B or to A. The customer is no more looking at the price. Price is becoming the negligible factor in all your discussions. Now here, one more factor before we move towards closing of the session for the day. One thing which we also have to understand, again, these are static slides, so there is no movement which I am showing out here. So please excuse me for that. Every purchase decision, whatever purchase is being done in this world, whether you are talking about purchases in your personal life or you're doing it for your industry, for your company, or you're selling, there are two aspects to a purchase. One is the emotional decision and one is the rational decision. Just to explain that very simply, you go to a mall, you love a dress, you like a dress, you are keen to buy it, and you give yourself 48 hours, come back home, and you decide to go back after 48 hours. Possibility of very remote possibility is there that you will not buy this product. Because the excitement when you are visualizing the dress, which was being owned by you at that point of time, was so high that on the spur of the moment, if you had availability to funds, and thanks to credit card, very often because of the credit card, we are into the impulse buying, which we call that. It is the reaction which we call as impulse buy, but the fact is there, it is the emotional buying decision which is happening. To just give a mathematical analogy to this entire decision, I have split the decision between one side is emotional, one side is rational. And if you can see the arrow which is moving across like a meter, which is in the center, that arrow is swinging between the two extremes. So I'm giving you across an analogy of a degree. So it is a 180-degree curve. Even emotions is 179 degrees, if I say so. 1 degree will be rational, where we will be talking across, oh, is the price correct or is the valuation correct? Someone is talking about yarn, but when I go to buy a shirt, I do not understand anything about the shirt. I do not know what kind of material it is because my knowledge could be limited. I do not know the stitching process. I do not anything. I just go for the brand about it. And I rationalize my purchase. If I'm buying a shirt of a particular brand ABC, which is costing 3,000 rupees, I rationalize because it's a brand, it's going to be good quality. So those are rational when I'm talking to a friend of mine or to my wife or to my friends. So that element of 1 degree is a rationalization. But 179 degree could be my emotions because I have fallen in love with that particular product or that design or the color, which I perceive it to be giving me a personality, which I perceive it to be looking at, I'm going to look smart in that shirt or that dress. So that is the reason where I'm going to buy it. But let us look into the other extreme. The moment if my emotional quotient is just 1 degree, and if it is going to be rational quotient is going to be very high, 179 degree, the purchase is going to be very, very less. It can be 90-90 because the needle is moving, it's swinging between the two quotients. So you can imagine it can be swinging into either side. But most of the purchases, the needle has to swing with more towards giving more space or more quadrant or more parameter has to be given to the emotional quotient and less to a rational quotient. Now let me explain this concept when it comes to the B2B purchase. B2B purchase, the same concept applies. Very often I have seen when we are going to sell across a product in terms of in our industry, very often the person who is sitting across into the purchase, if we belong to the same engineering college, the same alma mater, or you are from IIT Bombay, I am also from IIT Bombay, that although we could be from a very different batches, we could be a batches far apart, but that being IIT Bombay brings across a closer affinity to each other. So in case if I am going to sell and Dr. Anil is also coming and selling the same product with the same specification, for me to chance to score a business is much higher because of that 1 degree emotion which is going to be there. That emotion is IIT Bombay. Because in a industrial purchases, most of the cases it's a rational behavior. Abhishek is talking about relation created due to bonding. Yes, you are right to a certain extent. Yes, it gets created to bonding. And the bonding happens because when we are meeting across, the relationship could be that we are from the same community, same caste, could be same alma mater, same town, same in-laws house, Dr. Anil, same place, your in-laws and my, could be friend. That again could be one affinity which can be there. We become closer because your wife and my wife has been from the same school. Those could be any amount of permutation combinations could be there. But that is the emotional quotient which happens in terms of the industrial buying also. But let me tell you, in the industrial buying, that 1 degree quotient has to be there definitely. It cannot be 180 degree rational. It cannot be 180 degree emotional. So one aspect, when you are going to sell a product into the industrial buying, what you have to understand the rational, because in most of the cases in industrial buying, it works with a specification. So your specification has to be met, because when that customer is giving you an order, or when the customer is asking you to quote in a tender, he or she is asking across to fulfill the basic criteria. And then the negotiation starts. And when the negotiation starts, this is where the quotient of emotion and rational comes into play. It is a some ploy corporation use when they sell LGBT and other products due to the emotional aspect about it. Yes, to a certain extent, yes. LGBT, I presume what your meaning is, what I understand, then it is yes. Okay. So at any point of time, when we are talking about, we play around. And that's one of the reasons that the image of the company is very, very important. When you see today Tata, Tata is seen across as a company which can be trusted. Okay. Gunny is talking about, I look for more Indian vendors than other countries. Very true, because that emotional aspect is very important. Somewhere the pride of nationalists is more so when you are sitting abroad. It may not be so much happening, or you cannot see around when you're sitting in India, but very often we have the affiliations towards the MNCs, but the scenario just changes 360 degree when you are sitting abroad. Then anything and everything Indian is what you favor more so. And I believe Gunny is sitting there, so possibly that's the reason when he's talking about it in this way. Yes. So every aspect in the industrial marketing or industrial sales has got those components. So the other the 3 P's are important. The 4th P, price, is there, but not the factor. Just to summarize and to, wind up into this way, into the product, understand what is a core, understand what your product is there. Try to use this chart in terms of understanding what is your core. So each one of you can go across and sit and identify that what are you giving in this product. Okay. If you can do this exercise, I'll tell you, your success will happen and you will no more talk about price anymore. You will be talking across that how can I enhance the value? How can I move it across? So if you want, you can just make a small notes very quickly if you want onto this, or if Dr. Anil is going to share it in some way, then that will be ideal, because this is going to help you across. And remember this chart. And these quadrants are something very, very important. Does it mean that emotional purchase decision overpowers the 4 P's? See, it is not overpowering. Aniruddha, answering your question,
influencing.
It's not overpowering, but yes, there is, because see, marketing is another analogy I'll try to tell you. If you see like a, that woolen sweater, that ball which comes across, okay, when you are winding it across and someone is from the yarn, you understand that much better than me. What is happening? It has got multiple threads are there, and it is very difficult to pick up one start and one end point. It is all entangled in between, but it works unifiedly. Marketing is something you cannot give importance to one parameter, one factor. You cannot say I have got a best product and the other 3 P's I can play around and I can downplay. No, everything has got an important role, an equally important role, I would say, and it has to work in tandem because it's more supporting. It is a symbiotic relationship between various factors of marketing. We have not talked about the positioning at all. We have skipped all those chapters, or we have skipped all those concepts here, because price was the element which I had to speak about. But if you talk about positioning, it has also got a very important role to play for making your product perceived into the minds of the customers. Dr. Anil also has got one small video, which was a very interesting video, and I've liked that video a lot. And that talks about the concept which I was speaking about today. Coincidentally, it was telepathy, I think so, where he decided to play that video. And I was supposed to speak on the topic. So it has just coincided. but I'm sure I'm also eager to know what happened to that video subsequently. There is a question which has come across for micro and small enterprises. Most of the time, price becomes 80% leverage. I have come across B2B, particularly Ashish is talking about. Ashish, I think so. I've answered most of your queries, and if you have been there since beginning, I'm not denying. I have never said that the price is not an element which we can ignore and which has to be ignored. What I have just been able to tell you across that in any segment, because even if you're supplying, if you're representing a micro or a small enterprises, and what I gave you examples of my adhesive example, which I gave you particularly for the industrial adhesive, that company was hardly 10 crore company. But when it comes across as far as the segment or the unit which they were selling across, but when it comes to, and they're selling to very, very large MNC car manufacturers or vehicle manufacturers, and they were neglected, and they had this problem because within that category, within the segment, that segment is occupied by MNCs. And there is always a tendency, because if the foreign manufacturers, when they're coming to India, whether it's a Toyota or it's a Ford or it is Volkswagen, anyone who comes to India, they also carry with them their own vendors from either Japan or Germany or America, wherever they come from. So there is always a tendency and close circle or affinity for them to do it. But what happens when those vendors come across, they do not find viability for them to set their operations in India. As a result, for particularly such kind of products, they import it where the cost is very high. And the moment a Ford is or Toyota or Volkswagen is manufacturing in India, they have to work with the Indian cost. So they keep on always customizing. And that's one of the reasons you must have seen auto companies, they talk about how much indigenization which they have done. When they initially bring in the cars, they talk about almost 80% import components or 90% import components. Over a period of time, they work in targets and they bring it down. And they come to 10%, 20%, that's it, the foreign components, and rest are indigenized. This is where the opportunity exists for micro and small enterprises, provided you identify the right customers also, right industries or right areas. Possibly which we are facing this problem so much, then you also have to relook into your customer base. You might have to realign yourself, or you have to represent. I will not be able to give you a very generic answer unless until we talk about specifically a case and specific examples with you. Or knowing your industry or your company, I can possibly help you out better. But at this juncture, it is a general topic. So here I can tell you this is where it comes in. In my case, micro turnover is 2 crores to 20 crores in electronic instrument. Whatever it is there, the same concept I can lay a bet, it will apply the same way. Ganesh saying one vendor supplies to GE in India and GE India referred them to US and UK. Yes, that happens very often. Because when the Indian vendors have been developed, they also get a chance to supply internationally.
At this point of time, we'll take a pause. We want all of you all to reflect on this, and then we will take this forward. Right? As of now, thank you very, very much. God bless. Thank you very much, sir. Abhay sir, thank you very much for coming and giving a perspective, right, which is extremely important for them. With this, we stop for today. We meet on Friday again at 7:30. Thank you. Good night. Good night.
Good night, everyone. Bye. Bye for the day.